Still 1 minute. The longest minute ever. I know. Okay.
All right. I'd like to call this October 22nd, City of Charleston City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg, Councilmember Shealy.
Here.
Councilmember McBride.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Brady.
Present.
Councilmember Gregory. Councilmember Waring. Councilmember Seekings. Councilmember Tinkler. Councilmember Bowden. Councilmember Appel. Councilmember Parker. Mayor Cogswell.
Now I'd like to call on Councilmember McBride to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
This is a combination of two prayers from George Washington in 1752 and 1775. Let the bright beams of thy light so shine into my heart and enlighten my mind in understanding thy blessed word, that I may be enabled to perform thy will in all things and effectually resist all temptations of the world, the flesh, and the devil. Preserve and defend our leaders in church and state. As God, the cause of our common country, calls us both to be an active and consequential duty, I trust that the divine providence which wisely orders the affairs of men will enable us to discharge it with fidelity and success. Bless the people of this land, be a father to the fatherless, a comforter to the comfortless, a deliverer to the captives, and a physician to the sick. Let thy blessings guide this day and forever through Jesus Christ, in whose blessed form of prayer I conclude my weak petitions. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, states, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, we have one proclamation today. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Parker to join me on the dais, as well as representative from DNR. I'm sorry. Holly. Holly, come on up. Come on up. You want to come up? No, okay. All right. Very nice to meet you. All right. All right. All right. You're not alone. I'm up here. I mean, all right. Whereas oysters are a keystone species and crucial part of our coastal ecosystem, providing essential habitat for over 120 documented species of local sea life, including red drum, blue crab, flounder, sea trout, and shrimp. And whereas adult oysters can filter up to 2.1 gallons of water per hour, or up to 50 gallons per day per single oyster. And whereas oyster reefs are natural breakwaters that absorb wave energy and protect marshes and adjacent shorelines from erosion. And whereas, unfortunately, U.S. native oyster populations have declined to a fraction of their historic levels because of overharvesting, pollution, and habitat destruction. But rebuilding shellfish habitats is one of the most promising opportunities for reviving coastal ecosystems. And whereas nonprofit organizations such as Toadfish Conservation Coalition support oyster reef enhancement efforts, including SCDNR's SCORE program, by providing additional funding and strengthening volunteer initiatives. To date, Toadfish Conservation Coalition has supported the restoration of over 280,000 square feet of oyster habitat. And whereas we are also thankful to Casey Davidson and the Toadfish Coalition for all that they have done for our coastal environment and for educating us on the important ecological issues. And whereas SCDNR collects oyster shells for recycling and replanting from participating restaurants, oyster roast events, and their public oyster shell recycling drop-off bins. There are now more than 30 drop-off sites, including the new temporary drop site at Sumar Street in Inner West Ashley for residents, caterers, and restaurants statewide. And whereas by purchasing products from Toadfish, donating shells at a local recycling station, or supporting a restaurant that recycles oyster shells, as we as consumers all have an opportunity to help build the thriving oyster reefs that can provide so many ecosystem services and economic benefits to South Carolina. Now therefore, I, William S. Cogswell, Mayor of Charleston, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 22nd as Oyster Recycling Day. You want to pay that? Okay, hang on.
Thank you, Mayor Cogswell, council members and staff for inviting us here today. I do believe this is our third year in a row proclaiming an Oyster Shell Recycling Day. And I can't express enough how important it is to bring this to light on an annual basis. Because as most of you probably know, oysters are very important culturally and environmentally to South Carolina, but the cultural aspect involves the people. And it's my job to make sure, or our job collectively, to make sure that people are educated and that they should be recycling their oyster shell and to make convenient locations in order to do so. I really want to say a special thanks to Mayor Cogswell for securing a location for the West Ashley residents on Sumar Street. West Ashley residents are very active in recycling their shell, and I would be getting so many phone calls if we were not able to find something this year. So thank you for that. I also want to say, you know, we would love to find a more permanent location in the West Ashley area at some point, and I look forward to working with the mayor and Councilwoman Parker for that in the future. And also want to bring light, I did hand out some little informational infographics on everyone's desk. Familiarize yourself with that because we need help with educating the public and getting them to understand that part of culturally enjoying the oyster is also accepting the responsibility to recycle that oyster shell so that we can continue to enjoy these oysters in the future. Again, thank you for having us here today. I'm very proud of what we've done. I do want to say we hit another record-breaking year for oyster shell recycling this past season. 42,000 bushels were recycled, and 65% of that oyster shell came from Charleston County. And something else that's important to note is that the majority of our shell actually comes from these public drop-off bins because they're being used commercially for those caterers, but they're also being used for those individual roasters. And with that, that's all I have to say. Are there any questions by chance?
I do have one.
Yes.
I mean, since you have the microphone and all of our attention, what size property you need for a permanent location?
What
Yeah.
size do we need?
Yeah,
So we typically build a bin. It's like a 3-sided wooden bin, like a 10 by 15. Or sometimes it's like a 10 by 20. We could, also, you know, if it works better for the West Ashley area, we could have a more permanent location for a trailer that we just go and service. It's just kind of difficult for us because every year, if we have to change the location of that drop-off bin, we have to re-educate the people. And we're already trying to educate people on an annual basis to even recycle their shell in the first place. So,
thank you.
yes, thank you for asking.
And real, just quickly, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I know Casey can't be here and I know the aquarium does a really great job.
do.
They're doing actually a restoration project in Maryville right now. It's incredible. I mean, these living shorelines, you know, this is what we need to do. And that's why it's really important that, you know, we remind our constituents to recycle these oysters because they're doing really great things with them. So thank you again for all that you do. I wish Katie were here because, you know, she'd give us a lot of information. So, but thank you
I
so
have
much.
more. Don't want to
I
take more
know.
of your time.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, please.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll find a permanent location.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. All right, we are now on to public hearings. We have 2 items on the public hearing, and Madam Clerk, how many people do we have signed up to speak on this?
So we've got 2 public hearings. The first is for public input on the budget. How many people would like to speak on the budget?
2 people?
All right, we should probably do that one first.
All right, we have 2 people. We'll give a minute and a half per person.
Anthony Bryant.
Herb Sass is a real gentleman in Charleston County. He gave everybody almost 3 minutes to speak on all kind of issues. So this is our bill we paid yesterday. We got our bill from our auditor, like question in terms of that. The auditor has the county of Charleston. It has CCSD, which is a part of the TIF district, Park and Recreation that may be a part of it. Charleston Technical College, you might as well say they're a part of it, and you. But we all got our bills. So when you defer this taxes for the next couple of years, they ain't gonna get no bill. I was at the Barbara Melba's meeting for the Ports Authority. She kind of explained to me the whole thing. It's like the senators, everybody's involved in this. The deal's already done already. Money's already made. Where's the $2 billion gonna go at? Not to me. I'm not gonna be the ultimate beneficiaries of that $2 billion, of that relief of $100 million coming back to us. All we gonna continue to get is a bill.
Was there anyone else who needed to speak on the budget?
Jerome Harris, first speaking on behalf of the Human Affairs and Racial Reconciliation Commission. At its last meeting, we passed a resolution asking council to support the request from the Office of Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprises to support the Expo project and the expansion of the Enterprise Resource Center. As an old state treasurer, I want to note that, ask the question and request that we know when the draft budget will be available, what the process will be for this council to act on that budget. I think that the public should know that. In addition, the budget includes a series of performance indicators by department that have been there for quite a few years. And so I'm wondering whether or not during this process, those will be reviewed and updated. Thank you very much.
And was there anyone else for the budget? And Mayor, the next
Public.
item is 521 Wappoo Road, and I think Christopher Morgan has a brief presentation before the public hearing.
Believe they're loading the presentation right now. Here we go. All right, so this is a request to go from general office to commercial transitional. Here's the location. It's just south of Savannah Highway on Wappoo Road. The location is a former convenience store that was built in the 70s or 80s that's had an office use in it for many years and now would be renovated into a small local store. Here's an aerial image of the property. In our comprehensive plan, it's in our suburban designation, but this is a reuse of an existing commercial building. So that's a little bit of a caveat with that recommendation. Just a comparison between the GO uses as it is at present and then the CT uses that it would be with this rezoning. And then here is the DUOP plan, which is, this is at the end of an area that has a lot of limited commercial uses. So it's kind of a gray area as far as its recommendation from the DUOP plan. But here's an image of the property at present. And there is a side view. And Planning Commission reviewed it and recommended for its rezoning.
Was there anyone who signed up to speak to 521 Wappoo Road? One speaker. All right, Mr. Bryant.
Sarcasm. Basically, what I'm talking about now is we're talking about you. The DUOP plan and all the zonings that you've done need to be reevaluated because you got an issue in terms of your planning commissions. I did an appeal to the Design and Review Board, and there's no really appeal process. We appealed the partial demolition, and guess what? You had 14 days from that day to appeal it. The partial demolition isn't there. So what did I appeal? A ghost? Now the Board of Architecture Review had an issue with Sergeant Jasper that said it was silent. We're at a mini your board. The boards are not coordinated. The board of zoning appeals doesn't consider hardship, but the design and review board does consider hardship. Then you've got a general business zoning that you approved. You have to totally relook at the vision and mission of every board based upon the fact that the state hadn't dealt with the issue of growth. There is no legal definition for both or gentrification in the state of South Carolina. What is gentrification? Black folk? No, I don't know what it is. It's not legally defined. So quit saying stuff that ain't defined legally, where there's a consequence and that's first effect to those who feel it for real, not some rich white boy that grew up on Gibb Street.
Time. All right, was there anyone else who needed to speak on 521 Wappoo? That's all we got. So it goes to council.
All right, any questions? Councilman Brady.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Morgan, just a quick question on, I would have to squint and I could not see the table of uses.
Sure.
So is the commercial transitional a less intense use than general office?
It's a more intense use. It does allow retail uses, allow restaurant uses, not like with a drive-through or something like that. But the general office would have just allowed office type uses. Yes, sir.
So what is the thought then? What's the purpose behind the upzone?
They are gonna, the folks who are buying the property or who have bought it want to have a small kind of local oriented retail store there and reuse the existing building. And I think they've garnered pretty good support in the surrounding neighborhood, as I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. Thank you, though.
We have a move on both items. Just a second, one is only we need. I'm sorry, yeah. So we have a motion probably seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now looking for approval of council minutes.
Second.
Motion properly second. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, we are now on to citizens' participation. Madam Clerk, how many people do we have signed up?
We have 14.
All right, so we're going to do a minute each. We have 14 people. I'm going to just remind speakers that of the rules of decorum. We ask that you keep it to a minute. You do not address any of the council members directly. This is not a question and answer. Please be respectful. If you are not respectful, I will give you one warning, and if you continue, we will have you escorted out. So, Madam Clerk, will you please call the first speaker?
And Mayor, I apologize. What was the time again?
1 minute.
All right, the time is 1 minute. And just a reminder, we're going to be starting with agenda items first. Savannah Welks.
Thank you. I have a couple comments about the Ashley River Bridge. I bike to work at MUSC 5 days a week, and I was really disappointed to see the proposed change to not have the direct connection between West Ashley and the medical district. Commuting to MUSC by car is a nightmare. You have to pay to park. If you can even get a spot, the waiting lists are years long. So for more people to be able to safely commute by bike is, in my view, very important. So I urge the council to keep that direct connection between West Ashley and the medical district. Thank you for your time.
Susan Lyons.
Hi, Susan Lyons speaking for Groundswell, and I want to say thank you. I'm here to say thank you in advance for the new committee, the Basin Flood Action Committee, which I hope you will approve, and also and especially the new knee wall, which I have heard about for many years, and my neighbors are thrilled to see that this is actually going to maybe happen. So thank you very, very much for that, and we'd love to know a timetable when you have an opportunity. Okay, thanks.
Megan Frady.
Hi, my name is Megan Friday, and I'm here to represent the Charleston Village Association, and my neighbor tricked me to come speak. And I just want to say, I heard you speak at our neighborhood in June about the flooded project or the water project, I apologize. And then came back in August and heard it spoken about again. So when I saw today that the knee wall was on the agenda, I'm ecstatic. I fortunately live on a hill in Charleston, people tell me, but my neighbors on every single side are getting faced with flooding on a monthly basis sometimes. So I'm so excited, and I want to say thank you for putting that forward, and thanks, and I hope it keeps moving.
Pamela Ferguson.
Hi, I'm talking about the Ashley River Bridge. I bike commute for 9 years now, mostly. Occasionally I drive, but when I bike commute, I do have to go out of my way sometimes. I have to get off of my bike, such as to walk across Wappoo. So excited to have the new bridge. Please keep the crossing at B and Lockwood. I don't want to have to go out of my way more so. I love the idea of those other two, but please don't delay it or throw it out the window entirely, because we really do need that for that commute.
Alex Ray.
Hello. In 2023, Charleston Airport served over 6 million passengers, and the Charleston train station served over 50,000 customers, and is located on the way from Charleston Airport to downtown. Now, all of these passengers visiting Charleston and these locals currently only have the option to drive, Uber, or taxi between downtown and the airport. And of course, not everyone's going to downtown, but I would like to propose a light rail from downtown to the airport with additional stops at Park Circle and the Charleston train station, and of course, other stops along the way. And I know these things take time, but we need to start thinking about it now because traffic is only getting worse in Charleston. Thank you.
Arthur Lawrence.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council member. Thank you for the opportunity. We have a problem in the city of Charleston, especially in my neighborhood. But I want to thank my council member. He's doing a fantastic job. And my neighborhood is in mourning right now because we lost a valuable part of our community the other day. A Freeman Cottage that practically older than everyone in here. It was demolished and it fell on the street and it collapsed. They went in there and calling themselves to save the cottage, and now they want to apologize to the BAR, and boys say they're sorry. We need to have consequences for those individuals who calling themselves demolishing home in the city of Charleston, and have a time limit on them, 30 days or 20 days for demolishment, and completely clean the site up. It's a shame the way how these photographs, how many people are leaving our community. It's a shame. And it's a safety problem. If someone was walking on the sidewalk at 190 Lion Street the other day, it would have been a disaster and people would die. Now, you have the same thing on Norman Street.
Time.
Accident waiting to happen. When they go before the Board of Zoning or Appeal to get approval for demolishment, they should demolish these homes right away, play the property off, because most of the people that are doing all this demolition do not live in the city of Charleston.
Time.
They are hurting our community, and I hope the city do something about it.
Muhammad Idris.
Evening. I was reading the other day where the mayor was speaking about the infrastructure of the human being, and that we have to get to that so we could direct these developers to stop that kind of action that the former speaker, Brother Arthur, just got through speaking about. When I look at this council, you all look like a U. And there's a horse up there that you have to look at. A horse. So you look like the horseshoe that's protecting the mayor. And the mayor needs protection. And you need protection. But most of all, the citizens of Charleston need protection. So we who have been living and born in Charleston, I'm 81 years old. And I've been coming to this city council for about 24 years. And I'm asking for you all to help me do what is needed for my community. The Swedish got a community, the Italian got a community, the Jews got a community, the Greeks got a community, and it's protected.
Time. Zach Vicini.
In 2021, you guys specifically called for investment in an industry. I responded, and I've been trying to write you a check for 3 years in an attempt to start my business. Bureaucracy and slowdowns and cancellations have kind of mauled that process. It's time to end the bureaucracy, hold the bid, and let me try and write a check to city coffers to try and start my business. It really is that simple. And that's all I'm asking for, an opportunity to write you a check so I can start my business. To the people who probably support the other industries or the other applicants, they can always outbid me. It's that simple. Thank you.
And was there anyone in person that I missed? We do have Katie Zimmerman who signed up on the online list, but was there anyone, Mr. Bryant, I'm sorry.
Oh, man, I smile with clowns. At the end of the day, this is about the police. I was at Barbara Melvin's. I'm on record, Anthony G. Bryant, and my company is not recognized. My VIN number has not been given to me yet by the governor. Who knows Wendell Gilliard? I mean, Mark Keel knows all of them. Mark Keel's a part of the Khalil organization. I called Mark Keel to get the record. He didn't give me the record because it's in a physical address to send it to. I have a parent that lives there that I have to help. I'm not having the police we pay our taxes to investigate, observe, or arrest people for developers and money people getting paid. That's what this is about. About getting paid. It ain't about no people, it ain't about no infrastructure, it ain't about none of that. It's about who gonna get the big check. That's what this campaign's about. $1 billion with a campaign for Trump and Kamala Harris. Who they paying? Consultants, posters, all kind of people. But what you get, a green trash can in front of your yard you had for 30 years, that's all we got for our money.
Katie Zimmerman.
Hi, Katie Zimmerman, Executive Director of Charleston Moves. I just wanted to speak about the Ashley River Bridge. Today's TNT presentation, I think things are going in a good direction. I was glad to see both design options now have a direct connection back to the medical district. As was said in that committee meeting, I think the devil is in the details now and making sure that the slip lane gets a road diet. I think there's a way to sort of angle things out, all those details that can be worked out and get people a safe connection and also make things safer for motorists. So thank you for that. I know you heard from a lot of folks over the past couple of weeks, and we had a petition that ended up with 338 signatures, most from downtown or West Ashley, but from all over. And also while I'm up here, I just wanted, I'm assuming you all heard that we lost Tom Bradford, who major cycling advocate in the community for a very, very, very long time. And so I just wanted to make sure that you all knew about that. We're going to figure out a way to honor his memory, but huge loss for the advocacy community and quality of life, and just sort of saying a word for Tom. So thank you.
And we did receive one comment from Mr. Bryant, which was sent to council in full, and those are all the speakers and comments that we had.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman Parker?
may I? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So someone we were going to recognize for the proclamation, you know, Charleston Traffic and Parking, they just got here. Do you mind if they I can ask Casey, will you come up for a minute?
This is the famous Casey, was in the
This is
proclamation.
Casey, yeah. Casey, he was in the, I know. I'm sorry. I really, Casey is a local, obviously, and he has a local small business here, Toadfish, you've all heard of it. His philanthropic efforts in and around the Low Country. I mean, just tell us a little bit about what you do, because when I first met Casey, he had a lofty goal. I think one of the things that stuck was you want to put back as many oysters as we take out. And your passion shines through in everything that you do. So if you can just tell us a little about what you did and what you do and all the
Yeah.
nourishments all around the city.
Yeah, just really passionate about oyster restoration. You know, it was great that we hit 42,000 bushels of recycling, but on an average, we take out 120,000 bushels annually. So still a big disparity in what we're taking out, what we're putting back. So we still got a long way to go. But yeah, I think oyster restoration is the most important thing environmentally that we can do here in Charleston, especially. You know, we talk about erosion, we talk about these storms coming in. I mean, this is a natural barrier that provides that. So I think any funding that we can provide towards the SCORE program and what we're doing from an oyster restoration perspective is extremely critical. And so, you know, that's why we're donating to that for the last 10 years.
Thanks, Casey. And you were going to be up there, so this is you
Yeah.
here. But I think
We can get another picture.
your company has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to this effort. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's doing really great things. Citizen, Charleston, and a local business owner. So just wanted to give it, I would
He also
love-
makes the best shrimp deveiner
Yeah.
on the market. Like, it is by
Yeah.
far the best.
Like a walking
I got one for
advertisement of
Christmas
that.
last year. I would go out and buy one, go buy your family one. It's a great gift.
Can I take pictures?
Yeah, come on up, grab a picture, absolutely. And I'd also like to just say, you know, my condolences with regards to Tom Bradford. I knew him well, served on several boards with him. He was a great man, a great Charlestonian. It was sad to see him leave, but Charleston initially, but again, his impact will live on for many, many years to come. All right, moving on to petitions and communications. We have a few appointments. First up, if I could, maybe we're gonna break this up a little bit, right?
Yes, we have three. The first one is the Home Ownership Initiative Commission.
So this is the Home Ownership Commission. These are two new appointments, several reappointments. Do I have a motion on this?
Second.
Motion properly second. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Any of those folks here in the audience today, please raise your hand. If not, we'll move on to the next one. Board of Architectural Review Large, we have Eddie Bello, who is well known, I think, to this body, and James Matters, who would be in a reappointment. Do I have a motion? Motion properly seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. On this item C, I have withdrawn the chairman appointment. And so we will be voting only on the new appointments and reappointments for the membership. Do I have a motion on that? Motion properly seconded. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, ayes have it. We have no council communications. We are now on to consent agenda items. And we're not? None of that, and we're now on to committee reports. So, like to call on Councilman Greg to give us Ways and Means. If I may, before we do that, I did want to point out the request of legal and BFRC that items 14 and 15, that is the Sotil and Sotil contract and the JMT Knee contract, those are sole source. I just want that on the record, and the reason for them being sole source is their the respective design firms' familiarity with the projects and their history, in case of JMT, with the knee wall. So I just want to put that on record. And we have a motion properly called for and seconded. Any further discussion on this committee report? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We are now, where am I? Bills for second reading.
Move to take 1 through 9 together.
Motion to take 1 through 9 together, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion for approval of items 1 through 9, and properly seconded. Any further discussion on that? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. I want to do do I have a motion to do third reading on items
Second.
1 through 9? Okay, we have motion properly seconded to do third reading on items 1 through 9. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now I'm lost. Where am I again? First reading.
Greg, Councilmember Greg had a question.
Okay, Councilman Gregg.
Yes, so there were two bills when the Ways and Means report was approved that received a first reading. And that was the assignment and assumption of leases with Member 2 Inc. and Ann Street Associates, and the other one authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement between the city and Charleston Visitors Bureau.
Okay, we are now on to miscellaneous business. We have a special council meeting regarding the Union Pier tip that will be held on Monday, November 4th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in chamber. And before we move on, I would like to add an agenda item, provided council approves with 2/3 vote, to add an executive session to discuss Union Pier and conversations we are having with Charleston County. So we have a motion properly seconded to add the executive session agenda item. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session. A motion properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. If we can just join me in my office, this will be brief.
Stevens?
Do we have a quorum? Yep. I got a motion to come out of executive session. Motion probably second to come out of executive session. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We are now out of executive session where we went and discussed potential contract discussions regarding Union Pier in the county. No actions were taken during executive session. That is the last item on our modified now agenda. The next regular council meeting will be held Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 at 5 p.m. But again, just a reminder that we have one on an interim one, special meeting.
Yes, November 4th.
November 4th. If that, no further action for the council, this meeting is adjourned.